Hi, welcome to Rittner School in Boston, Mass. I'm Dr. Steve Rittner, and it's a pleasure to welcome you into one of our classrooms today. The time of the year, it's spring, and we have some very, very neat botanicals from blooming of Beloit, Wisconsin, that are a good example of some of the cool things that we can play with at this time of the year, and we feel inspired by them. So much so that what we want to do today is make a funky spring design, And you'll notice that we have a container here. It's a nice piece of glass. It is a fairly heavy piece of glass. We have some foam on the top. The foam is attached with some of our Oasis tape. Let's play with this and see what we can come up with. And we have a variety of things we're going to be playing with in this design. First of all, I'm going to play with a material that we have access to pretty much throughout the year, Bells of Ireland. It's beautiful stuff, and we love playing with it, and that's going to give even more height to our kind of funky design. But our funky design is going to use some very specific materials that we've got at this time of the year. And one material that is really cool that we get at this time of the year are some of our flowering branches. This stuff is spirea. It is absolutely amazing. It's flowery, it's branchy, you can't get any better than that. And this stuff is available from blooming of Beloit. And what we're going to do is we're going to play with some of our spirea, and we're going to use it to emphasize the lines on this design. And the nice thing about materials like this is, look, it doesn't take much. And look at how we can come out in different directions on this and really come up with a cool effect. That's why I love these materials. We can take them, we can use them, they extend our eye, they're fun to use, and they're quick and easy. And as many of you know, our whole philosophy here at Rittner School is that learning floral design should be quick, easy, and fun. And so that's exactly what we're going to do here. I'm using the spirea to complement our Bells of Ireland and come out on all different sides to really define the overall shape and form of this design. And I've got another piece I'm going to work over here. So notice that it feels like a fairly massive container to begin with, but by the time we start getting through with it with some of these pieces, the pieces work so well in terms of our botanicals. So I have some of my spirea placed really to create the overall outlines of the design. And you can see that what seemed very, very big at first, now it fits. It fits very, very nicely. Now we have some other really cool botanicals that we want to include that are very, very much fun to play with, that definitely say spring. One material that I love, aronia. It is, again, a flowery, branchy kind of thing. And we can use this both to fill, we can also use it to really create line and create shape. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my aronia and I'm going to place one over here. I'm going to place another piece coming in just a little bit closer. Notice how that's gradually filling in, and it's giving us a little bit more body in terms of our design. Now there are other things that we associate with spring that I love, and we have some very, very neat allium. I love allium. It is just a fun flower to play with. It comes in different varieties. It has the advantage of having enormous stems if we want to use the enormous stems, but we can also cut it down and do some really, really cool things with it. And what I'm going to do is take some of my allium and I'm going to incorporate it into this arrangement. And I'm going to take a couple of pieces and use it here. And it's almost a shame to cut it down, but if I leave it too long, I'm afraid my viewer, it will be kind of out of the range of what you'll be able to see on this design in terms of our coverage on our camera. But notice I'm taking several of my allium, placing one over here and here to kind of counterbalance what we did with the aronia on the other side. Now let's see, what other neat things can we do in terms of using springtime things? Well, this isn't really a springtime flower, but it certainly is a flower that we love playing with. Mini gerbera. They're available pretty much through the year, but they work in very, very nicely, especially where we have this kind of red-violet And I'm going to take my red violet on my mini gerb, and I'm going to extend it down on this side of the design. I love this flower. It really gives a very, very cool effect, and it doesn't take very many of them to really kind of reiterate what we're doing with our spirea and gradually work in towards the center of the design. Now we have still some interesting area here that we can play with and work some things in. And I would like to play with another one of our favorite materials that do become available around this time of the year. There is a material that I love called viburnum. Viburnum. Isn't this stuff amazing? It, again, feels very, very natural. It is pretty, it's green. The green works with just about everything. And this is another one of the wonderful products available to us, courtesy of Blooming of Beloit. And I'm going to take a few pieces of my viburnum and work them into this arrangement. And again, my viewer, bear with me while I cut these and I work them in. I'm going to take a piece of this and work it like so. And then another piece and bring it in a little bit closer. So I'm just gradually working my way in towards the center of my design. And you can see this is filling in very, very nicely and giving me a kind of an interesting kind of rhythmic flow in towards the middle of the design. Now, what else do we have? Oh, well, at this time of the year, of course, we want to play with one of my favorite flowers. One of my favorite flowers, of course, the sunflower. You can't go wrong with a sunflower. They're big, they're showy, they're bright, they're cheerful, and this will give us a nice contrast when we start playing with our yellow as opposed to our violets. And I'm going to use my sunflower smack dab here as a focal area. And you'll notice, my viewer, how this gives me an enormous amount of coverage. It really draws our attention. It is the spot to which all lines in our funky spring arrangement are leads our eye in very, very, very nicely. Now at this point, let's take a few more materials that we can use to create accent and to fill in. And I have some amazing limonium. Here's limonium. It's kind of a whiskey kind of filler material, and it gives a very, very pretty and a very natural kind of effect. And I'm going to take some of my limonium and I'm going to work a little of it here and there. In other words, before I completely finish this thing, I want to have some of this stuff basically working in towards the center of my design. So I'm taking a piece here, a piece there, working a little over here. In other words, I have the space in the foam to do it, and it kind of gives texture to my design, so we have a really, really pretty effect. I don't know that you get the full effect of it, my viewer, from the video, but take my word for it, it really is giving us a very, very neat kind of wispy, kind of natural, loose kind of effect in our design. We still do have a little bit of space here, and so what I'm going to do is go back to my little pile of things that we have to play with and see what else we have. We have some more of our viburnum, so let me work a little bit more viburnum here, and then another piece of viburnum over in here, so that now I'm working kind of around my sunflower, and so it kind of gives me a really, really nice kind of flow to my design. I'm going to take just a little bit more of my viburnum. I'm grabbing another piece and working it right over here, like so. And I can actually use it to create a linear kind of an element down over here too, so that we have a very, very nice thing working in terms of our viburnum. And then I'm going to take a little bit more of our limonium and work it in here as well. Now, obviously, this design is not complete unless we cover our mechanics, and I would take either a little bit of baker fern or possibly some of my moss and place a little bit of moss or baker fern around the sides and the back to make sure that all of my mechanics are cleanly covered. What do you think, my viewer? Pretty cool, huh? It is a funky design. It definitely makes use of spring materials. We have our materials worked in here so that we have our spirea coming down here, over here, over here. Our spirea is over here, comes down here. We've got our aronia coming down in towards the middle. We are definitely using our allium in this design, which definitely say spring. And then we've got a very, very neat thing going on here with our viburnum starting up here and working down, and then using a sunflower as a focal point. Interesting, contemporary, a little bit on the fringe side, not for every taste. However, my viewer, I hope that you consider that when it comes to flowers, flowers are like musical notes. We can combine them in an infinite number of ways, and sometimes it's just fun to take some materials and to do something with materials like spirea and viburnum and allium, which are definitely appropriate for this season, and come up with something that's kind of fun. Quick, easy, and fun. That's what we preach here at Rittners School. We believe that floral designing should be quick, easy, and fun, and we hope, my viewer, that you enjoyed this brief demonstration. On behalf of all of us here at Rittners School, I'm Dr. Steve Rittner. Thank you for coming in and viewing this demonstration today.